we carry are the things we hold inside, like a day in the open, like the love we won't forget, like the laughter that we started and it hasn't died down yet. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest, let it sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. Oh yeah, now didn't we? And don't we make it shine? Are we standing in the center of it? Something rare and flexible like amber, like light through colored glass. Some give it all in one great flame, throwing kisses as they pass. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest, let it sail on silver wings. Life's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits, there's a festival of friends, and we'll take them.
Could everybody turn to their songbook? We're going to sing Welcome In.
Welcome in, take my hand. Let us walk no more and talk no more as strangers in this land. As we meet here in the causeway of His love and your desire, as bringing the lantern fire. Welcome in, take my hand. Say hello to who you know and who you don't and who you can. We'll give promise to your springtime and beginnings to your ends. We'll try not to be cautious, we'll be friends. Never before and never ever again will these waters part for any woman, child, or natural man. White like you. Welcome in, take a stand, as the river of His love turns red to you again. The dove song as she proves it, we got too far now to lose it, but not too far to choose it. Welcome in, welcome in, take my hand. I will listen if the child is still the father to the man. As the waters of our lifetime go on over one another, I baptize you as my brother. Welcome in. Never before and never ever again will these waters part for any woman, child, or natural man. White like you. Welcome in, take my hand. I will listen if the child is still the father to the man. As the waters of our lifetime go on over one another, I baptize you as my brother. Welcome in. I baptize you as my sister. Welcome in.
Could we sit down? I don't want to stand. Everybody take a seat, get comfortable. Sit. Musicians may sit. Oh. we would gather up here and Gordon would be with us, I remember he would do this thing, which just keeps sticking in my head. He sort of walk around the circle and do his and do you remember what he would say? Neat. Yeah. Neat. That keeps sticking in my head. It's really good that so many of us were able to make it today in love of Cy and Claudia and Terry and Reed and in love of Gordon and of each other. It's also really important to remember those who were not able to make the trek up this hill, but who are thinking of us and sending thoughts and prayers and are with us in spirit. So if we could just take a moment of silence to bring them into this space. Well, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From the moment that the bell heard round the world first sounded the news that Gordon had died. So many different emotions, so many memories. When I heard that Gordon died, it literally took my breath away. I was cowed over, and I know it did for many of us. I don't care how prepared somebody is for the death of a loved one, because when that moment comes, you never really are prepared. And so we gather on this hill to acknowledge and mourn the death of our dear Gordon in all the various ways we related to him and knew him. It is the end of an era. And in that end, many of us are feeling and coping, each in our own way, with a tremendous sense of loss and grief. And we are here to be present to our feelings and to each other. We're also here to acknowledge and celebrate the certainty that Gordon's spirit lives on. You could see it in the faces of those who gathered yesterday, in Claudia's smile. You could feel it in Osai's hugs. You could hear it in the words shared during and after the service, in Terry's beautiful song, and Reed's poignant memoir. In the presence of the grand and great-grandchildren, and in the words and the hugs and the presence of each one of us. Some of the most compelling and powerful ties that bind us came from our time spent in this place, through the lessons that we learned about God, about our worth, about our purpose, through the relationships that we developed with one another, and the lives we shared with Gordon. Those ties are blessed, and they will remain with us always. When David Hauser had the bright idea to ask permission to use this space to give us a chance to gather a second time on this weekend in memory and in love, and asked me to lead it, my first thought was, no bleeping way. I'm not standing in front of all these experiences and this cast of characters and lead us from here to there. But my second word, or the one word I said to him, was, okay. Because if Gordon taught me anything, he taught me that it's not about me. It's about us. It's about them. It's about Gordon. It's about God. And it's about what we do when we go down that hill and into the world. So the service, we determined, will sort of look like a Friday evening celebration. it's not Friday and it's not dark. And we're on a hill and not in Elizabeth, but go with it. I thought the simpler the better, frankly. Because what was that all about? Well, we're going to sing. And there'll be a lesson. And we're going to share. We'll have communion. A short presentation. More singing. And then we'll go. I have some notes. Thank you, Maddie.
And don't run off because we're taking a big picture.
No, that's in my notes. For the big sister.
Yeah.
Here we go. I know you come back to family and you just resume your old role. So we will be sharing communion, and when it's time, I'm going to call up Booth and Jim and Russ and Paula, and they're going to take a basket and a cup and divide up 1, 2 each way, and you can rip as much bread as you want, and it's intention is what it's called, dip it in the cup, and they'll move on and pass it on. And also, in the baskets, in each basket, you don't have to look for it. There are slices of gluten-free bread, in case anyone has an issue with that. It's a sign of the times. It's not the 70s anymore. And after our last hymn, or song, which is Song of the Soul, and before we leave, we're going to gather around the cross for a photo. So will you please join me in a prayer? Holy One, we are grateful for this gift of gathering space and the time to gather in it, to mourn and to celebrate and to release Gordon, our beloved Gordon. We pray that while we're here, you weave from our sorrows a sense of your grace. And we ask that you bless the Sherman family, that they may find healing and support in this gathering. And that in the end, we may, each of us, journey from this hill in peace and in purpose. Amen. To be alive.
Sit where you are. Can we sing? Hang on. Sorry, I thought you were ready. What page? Do you know what page? What page? 7 in this book. We think it's 7 in one of the books. Yep.
If you have a table of contents, you might be able to find it that way. Mine is my table of contents. Lean on me. Lean on me. Yes. Take it.
To be alive and feeling free, and to have everyone in our family to be alive in every way. Oh, how great it is to be alive. Every day there's a newness, something else to do.
It's really quite stunning to stand up here and see everyone. Takes my breath away. I'm having a hard time breathing. I'm glad I wrote notes because I would be like paralyzed if I didn't. When I first arrived at Deering, I was in 5th grade. Little Nancy. Not yet Thumper. And when I talk to people in my work, because they ask me, what were the times and the places and the people who profoundly shaped me, where it was safe to make mistakes and discover who I was and was not. My first thoughts and images that pop in my head are of Deering. And from the sharing that I heard yesterday and today, I suspect the same is true for many of us. So I said I was in 5th grade when I attended my first camp and met the Shermans. Sorry, Claude. Eventually, I would begin my illustrious career as a backup singer in Claudia's lip-syncing band, Claude and the Claudettes, performing in camp talent shows over the course of several summers. We were quite an act. I was one of those children who arrived to Deering already believing that their background and their childhood had rendered them broken. One of the kids that the Shermans welcomed into their fold and shared their family and their father. It was a gesture of unselfishness for which I am eternally grateful, and I know I speak for my sister and so many others. But as it happened, Gordon was someone who could see inside of you. He could see beyond the brokenness, could see so clearly as to be able to say to me, to PK, to many of you, that although the circumstances of your life and what is around you may indeed be profoundly messed up, you are not broken. Your spirit is in fact perfectly whole. And although it may be under a bushel, your light still shines bright. Such a gift. When I tell people I went to church camp, they often give me that look. Yeah, you know that look. And I always sense from them sort of a backing away, implying somehow that camp, because it was attached to a denomination, must have been a place of judgment and exclusion. To a person who knows me, they're surprised to hear that Deering was the beginning of everything I am, because I do not present as a Bible thumper, as they think. I am a thumper. camp lessons came from Scripture. And for many of us back then, God and Jesus were concepts and names and beings, both comforting and familiar in our camp vernacular. But the ethical mandate to love and how service became the law of our being, those spiritual principles came not only from Scripture, but also and often in the themes of each camp week. Dream it, then be it. I am lovable and capable. I am the light of the world. They showed up in service projects and in the intentionality with which we were raised to go about our daily tasks, no matter how mundane. The setting of tables, the cleaning of toilets, and the preparing of spaces for someone else to use. And of course, they showed up in children's stories. Maybe you remember some of these lines.
How does one become a butterfly? How does one become a butterfly? They have to want to learn to fly so much that you're willing to give up being a caterpillar.
Anybody remember that? What is it?
People don't need airplanes to soar. Even the darkest clouds have meaning once we lift ourselves above them. Messiahs can be found in the unlikeliest places. Hayfields, yes, but also deep within ourselves.
Illusions, right. You didn't know this was going to be a pop quiz.
And now, here is my secret, a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye.
That's a trick one.
Little Prince. The Little Prince, that's right.
All the animals are my friends. It's good to be a bunny. Bunnies can hop and are warm and furry. That is a gift that bunnies are given. A free gift with no wings, no strings attached. And every gift that's given to anyone is given for a reason.
You know what that was?
Barrington.
Funny. Oh, Barrington. Wait till you hear Glenda now.
Real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. And once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always.
You know that one?
Openness to spirit, the courage to be, living your authentic path, unconditional love, and service to others, no strings attached. Our time at Deering and with Gordon taught us that claiming these statements was our birthright. And just a few promptings of spirit that we were encouraged to live out in the worlds that we returned to when camp was over. And all of this musing over the last 2 months and the last 2 days made me wonder, what about you? What do you remember? And how did you do living those lessons? so as that I'm not the only one talking. I want to invite you to think about your time here. And when you are so moved, if you are so moved, I invite you to say, I don't know, a word, a phrase, a sentence, a motto, something that's stuck with you that either you've carried forward from the time that you've been here or you forgot all about and want to bring home with you today.
Graceful today.
I'm just going to walk around the circle like we used to, and if somebody would like to say something, brief is better than lection. Just grab the mic. Unconditional love. The thing that made church camp different than YMCA camp or any other camp was this covenant that we made in coming here was our willingness to love. That's what we came here for. I already love you, even though I haven't met you. The God in me recognizes the God in you, and we're all connected. And that's why we came to church camp instead of hiking camp or computer camp. Well, there wasn't computer camp, but
I learned to pray standing in the middle of that field in 1970 after a long evening of a very difficult, painful experience of a few people around me and many people in pain and knowing not where else to go. And I've been raised in the church, but not really knowing what prayer was even about. Walked into the darkness. This is going to take it. Walked into the darkness and began to speak, not knowing really to whom I was speaking. Standing in the middle of that field, it was a soccer field that day, and spoke for a while, turned around and walked back and felt changed and different. And the next morning, there was a different spirit in our group and the people who had been in pain. And I began to learn who God is and how to tune in. 5 years later, standing in front of that brown door you can see down there, I received a call to serve Christ ministry. As we spoke and got ready to move this man to Bangor to begin seminary. And I received a call to Christ ministry standing in front of that brown door at the bottom of the hill as I hugged you, packing you up to move you and your family here to Bangor to begin a second career in ministry. And I said to you, do not be surprised to see me there in a few years as well. And walked away and went home, never having heard those words or thought those words. I know from whom they came. And then I became a minister, and there's a lot of history after that. This is the place, and there are a lot of other places, but this is special. Thank you, God.
Amen.
I had a brother named Bob, just one, and he died at the age of 27. And God decided he'd give me another one. And he gave me another one named Gordon. And he and I knew that back in 1974, didn't happen right away, but it grew. As you can imagine, I learned to be still, be quiet, and to be fine with myself.
This was the one place that we could come every year where people loved us exactly for who we were. We lived and died for this week. That's all we thought about all year. Letters, phone calls, visits, but this was the week that got us through the year every year.
Gordon taught me that God doesn't make junk. And that has stuck with me my whole life, that God doesn't make junk.
Brief. How can I be brief?
Brief.
I'm just glad right now that this isn't a subdivision. That the place is here to touch people's lives going forward. And I remember the day we arrived in November of 1998, and Nicola was in the womb. And just every minute of that, and what Gordon showed me in loving me, and it was the first time that I experienced God's love from a man, and that's what drove me to come back and reopen this place.
As grateful as I am for Gordon and Gordon's memories, I'm as grateful, or probably more grateful, for probably the strongest part of Gordon, which is Osai.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for everything.
The summer that I was here was a rough time at home, mostly relationship with my dad. And Gordon found me in the kitchen crying. And he sat down and he let me talk. He really didn't say a word. He just kind of watched me as I talked it out for myself. And at the end he said, "You love him, don't you?" And I said, "I do." And he said, "Keep doing that. You'll be okay." So he stuck with me.
The first time that I heard Gordon open a prayer with Mother, Father, God was the time that I realized that I might see myself in God.
I showed up here on accident when I was 3, and this became my first home, my first family, my aunts and uncles. I learned love and acceptance in a profound way that I don't think most children get exposed to, and I thank each and every one of you for that. Thank you, Sai.
Spirit is fun.
Say love, love, endless love, and endless laughter. Camp family is a real camp.
I learned here 3 simple keys, at least to me, for happiness. Was number 1 was someone to love, number 2 was something to do, and number 3 was something to look forward to.
I wonder how many of you might have experienced a New Year's Eve up on this hill. Could you raise your hand? All right.
Wow.
That's cool. That's
We
amazing.
would come up, and sometimes there would be deep snow, and one foot would go down, and then you'd drag it up, and the other one. And there was, I think, the New Year's of 79, 80, there was no snow at all. And they ended up the next day, New Year's Day, playing baseball on the quad, which was just so unusual. But we used to come up for those that weren't here, and we'd have a candle, and you'd see this long procession coming up to stand around the cross. And sometimes the moon would be out, and sometimes not. But it was just a beautiful way to start a new year.
Oh, so cool. Yeah.
I learned that everyone was always welcome in Gordon's circle of love, which was also God's circle of love.
Whenever I say to somebody it's a gift, my mind goes, it's a free gift, no strings attached. And I also remember, do what you can, where you are, with what you have.
Gordon and Cy and the cast of characters that I met here have created the best memories of my life and have in many ways made me who I am today, in service, in unconditional love. This is a place that was created ahead of its time and has endured the
Friendships that have lasted many, many, many years and will continue to last many, many, many years. Many, many, many.
This is where I learned about community.
There was always a song associated with that year at camp. Three that always stick out to me: Shower the People, You Love the Club, True Colors, and then Man in the Mirror.
Must have been an 80s camp.
What stood out to me is, in this place, we learn to love everybody, but we also learn to like ourselves. And that's a huge lesson.
I learned to make world famous chocolate chip cookies and Osai over 4 continents. Every time I made chocolate chip cookies, I thought of you guys. And Gordon taught me as well that chocolate chip cookies make the best communion host.
With pink lemonade. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and memories. I know there are a lot more, and I hope that in the days and weeks and years to come that we take the time to share them, continue to share them. Because in the end, this place and our camp experiences, camp family, time with Cy and Gordon, it wasn't about us. It was about what we do when we descend the hill, what we took with us, and what we put out into the world. I think that's why Gordon and Cy worked so hard on us and with us, because we had work to do. I hope that Gordon's legacy lives on in how we are and who we are, and in the love we carry forward, because love is life. Amen.
Amen.
We're singing Magic.
Oh.
And for those of you who don't know, we have the author of the song singing with us, Bonnie.
Aww.
So it's been in the songbook forever, and whenever you flip to that page, you're probably like, who are these people? Well, now you've met one in the flesh.
The magic is in you, the magic you see. The magic is in you, in dreams you can keep. So dream on, my brother, dream honest and true. God's love makes it happen, and the magic's in you. This week here at Deering, we'll dream and we'll be. With love from each other, we'll learn to be free. So dream on, my sister, dream honest and true. God's love makes it happen, and the magic's in you. Our paths lead us outward, but this we will share. Our memories of dreaming with friends who could care. So dream on, my friend, dream honest and true. God's love makes it happen, and the magic's in you. When we have left here, our dreams will go too. We'll be what we're dreaming our whole life through. So dream on, my friend, dream honest and true. God's love makes it happen, and the magic's in you. I love you, my dream friend, for sharing my song. Together we sung love that's honest and strong. So dream on, my friend, dream honest and true. God's love makes it happen, and the magic's in you.
Every Friday night.
There you go.
Roger, can you hear me?
What?
No, I prefer the mic.
The mic was working. It was working.
It was
Check,
working.
check.
That's good. Thank you. I'm just gonna- Every Friday night service,
All right.
after the songs and the story, we would always share communion. For many of us who gathered in our living group in Elizabeth, those nights that ritual was a favorite. It was also one of the few traditional church-like acts that we did together. While the stories were sacramental in that they revealed what was holy in the secular, the ministry of Jesus and our calling as children of God, communion was a sacrament, binding us to one another and to God as members of a family of faith. And as one of the final pieces of that Friday night celebration, it also was, as it turned out, a commissioning to each one of us individually and to our collective body. Those of us who had shared a week or a summer, that we were to go into the world and bind up the broken and heal the sick and tend to the sorrowful and release the captives and spread the good news that God loved you just as you are and me as I was. And in turn, you and I were to love others in the same manner. Well, what struck me about our communion service was its availability and its accessibility. No matter our quirks, no matter our backgrounds, no matter our challenges, no matter our gifts, no matter what,
On those Friday nights, communion was the last experience for us to learn that in God's world, there's room for every one of us. And everyone has something to offer to the world for good. And so, as Gordon would often offer to us, in Jesus' name, so do I invite you and Russ and Booth and Jim and Paula to join in a time of table fellowship. That's our table. It's a welcome table. It's set with unconditional love to feed and fill your spirits with what it is that you need to walk with the one who claims you. It's a gift, a free gift with no strings attached. And it doesn't matter who you are, what you have done or not done, or where you are on your journey of spirit, because this is Christ's table. So all whom Jesus would welcome are welcome to it. Please join me as we bless the meal. God of grape and grain, we spread your table with gifts of the earth and ask that you send your spirit on them, that the bread broken and cup received may heal us with your peace and transform us with your love and revive our vision to follow you, to serve others, and to bring hope to this world. So Jesus gathered his friends around the table, some of you may recall, and after he blessed the meal, he broke the bread and he filled the cup and said, "This is the bread of life and the cup of blessing for you. Whenever you share this meal, remember me."
When we pass the bread and the cup, we're going to sing a cappella. Let us break bread together. Gifts of God for the people of God. All things are ready.
Break bread together on our knees. Let us break bread together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, praise God together on our knees. Let us praise God together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me. Let us praise God together on our knees. Let us praise God together on our knees. When I fall on my knees with my face to the rising sun, oh Lord, have mercy on me.
Could I have Cy and Terry and Reed and Claudia here, please? So, as Reed spoke yesterday, this family unit gave up an awful lot for all of us. They gave up time, they gave up energy, they gave up Gordon. And we want you to know that we acknowledge, we celebrate, and we appreciate that. And that sacrifice got you this big, massive family. Now, you may want to claim some of us, but we all claim you. And I know that in the time to come, there's going to be times of darkness, there'll be times of joy, there'll be times of crying, there'll be times of laughter, there'll be fellowshipping together. And we want you to know that you do not go through this alone, because you have all of these people and everybody who couldn't be here. And so we wanted to present you with some blessing jars. When the time gets dark, you need a lift, open up your jar, pick out a special message for each of you. So we want you to take them home and know that you're not alone, because families don't desert family. And no matter what, we will still love you. We're still going to love you. Osai, you better have that grilled cheese and tomato soup ready for the people. How many of you had grilled cheese and tomato soup? There you go.
So much.
So you go with all of us and with all our wishes, and I'm quite sure I speak for everybody here that we just love you and we thank you and we appreciate you, and you got a pretty good family here. Oh, keep it brief.
This has been so special today. Such wonderful memories, so many people coming to visit, and I just will always remember these moments together. I talked with David Hauser last night. I thought he wanted to be here, right, Heather? He wanted to be here. And he said that he, I guess, and Kyle were staying in an elementary school with Kyle's mother, who was on oxygen. They had the school turned over to anybody with needs like that, seniors. And David was there, and he was bored. He said he was so bored because there was nothing to do. You couldn't go outside, and inside were just old people sleeping. So anyways, prayers to David and the family, and to Heather and Michael. It's just such a joy to have you here today.
One more song. Song of the Soul.
Open mine eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Open mine eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine. Of my life I am crying, I am not dying, I am dancing, dancing along in the madness. There is no sadness, only a song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. What do you do for a living? Are you forgiving, giving shelter? Follow your heart, love will find you, truth will unbind you. Sing out a song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Come to your life like a warrior, nothing will bore ya. You can be happy. Let in the light, it will heal you, and you can feel you. Sing out a song of the soul, and we'll sing this song. Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time. Why don't you sing this song? Why don't you sing along, and we can sing for a long, long time.
One more song. Please fill the day.
Okay. The last song.
The last song.
Breaking all the rules. I guess we're having a change of plans. The Englishman is Kingsman. What is it? You fill the day. I wish you had told me. I would have brought them up from the. That's all right. I got you. Okay, good. Change on. 19. 37.
Right.
Yeah, we got it.
We know what our heart is.
Your glory and your power,
Blessed are we.
Amen.
Let's sing I am the resurrection.
Just can't that close. I know. Sunset bugs are
What page?
Three. Number three. Number three. Yeah.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will never die. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live a new life. I have come to bring you the truth. I have come to bring you life. If you believe, then you shall live. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will never die. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live a new life. In my words, all men will come to know. It is love that makes the spirit grow. If you believe, then you shall live. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will never die. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live a new life. Keep in mind the things that I have said. Remember me in the breaking of the bread. If you believe, then you shall live. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will never die. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live a new life.
Duffy, will you organize us around?
You want to do it here or
Well, where did you want to do it? I thought we were doing it
cross?
Let's do it here at the cross, yeah.
If we do it on this side of the cross. All right, Craig. Yeah, let's do it.
Right.